on? All right, I'm getting a lot of thumbs up, so hopefully everybody can hear. And we're coming to you live today on Giving Tuesday. For the obvious Tuesday, it's a big day for all nonprofits across the country to raise funds, to share our mission with everyone. And it's a day that we can raise, and we're just really, really grateful you're dialing in. And I'll say now, and I'll ask again later, if anybody has about me talking today, just stick them in the chat, and the folk behind the cameras will read them at me, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them. So we thought we'd come to you today with a case we're working on right now. We're right smack in the middle of it. It's a heartbreaking case because it started with the death of a human, of an old man, and these were his dogs, and he was a breeder years ago, but I think these dogs were just kind of there now, living in pens outside as he got older and unwell. And he died just a couple of weeks ago, and the dogs became an immediate situation for the family. How are we going to take care of them? They don't like anybody but our grandfather, who passed away. And so somehow I got the call actually through a American Eskimo Rescue in St. Louis. And we've worked with them once before on a very difficult, very challenging American Eskimo. So they were like, ugh, we don't know if we can deal with this situation. The dogs are all somewhat unfriendly. They're only used to one person. They're trying to bite the family. And it's above our what we can do, and also above even the space they had. So I put out a few calls and tried to get some local help out there to go out and look at the dogs, and we did have somebody go and evaluate the dogs, and we got the feedback. And at that point, I realized we need help. We need help too. We can't, these dogs, by the way, were probably 900 miles away from where we're sitting right now, from our facility here in Colorado. And while we can deal with some very scared dogs and such, we have friends from the Animal Rescue Corps in Tennessee. This is all they do. They go into situations that are really, really challenging, oftentimes hoarding situations, dog fighting, really, really difficult situations where you have a lot of very fearful dogs, a lot of dogs who could probably kill them, and they are extremely capable at capturing those dogs and doing it safely on the least amount of stress on the dogs, and obviously protecting themselves at the same time. So I don't know any better way to tell this story than to show you some of the original pictures that we had when this all first started. I think our film crew here is you're gonna do something different?
I'm gonna hold it up.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. So these two pictures just kind of represent, I can bring them forward too if you want, the conditions. This is not at all uncommon, to be honest. There's these very rote outdoor pens. Sorry, this is not the easiest way to do this, but just to be able to give you, these are the pens that the dogs were living in outdoors.
A little more that way.
Okay.
Okay. Now this way.
Now this way. I'm getting some instruction here. But anyway, we're on 4 different platforms. That's why all the mics. But at any rate, these are the conditions, and we see these conditions out in rural America a lot. That dogs are living in conditions like this, in very rote pens. There might be chain link along one side and chicken wire along another side and tarps over the top, and they're just very, very basic confines for the dogs. So anyway, what's that? Oh, and show, okay, so that's fine, okay. So anyway, so this is conditions we see often, and we see conditions like this even at rescues in the rural parts of this country, because people do what they can to try to help animals. In this case, it was a breeder who died just a couple of weeks ago, and all the dogs were living out like this, and the family couldn't do anything about it. So because they couldn't get in the pens where the dogs were to help them. So because the dogs were snapping and snarling at them, I think there was 1 out of 8 that was affable, that was friendly. There was also another dog. Oh, it's okay? Okay, good. Okay, I don't have to stand up. That's always good. There was also a one-off dog, a husky. When I saw his picture, it was like, okay, we can't this is going to take us a few days to get all of our teams and everything together. Our friends at Animal Rescue Corps in Tennessee, absolutely ready to help. So it took us a few days to mobilize. So I told the granddaughter on this property, who came from another state to help, that her only job, she was very, very saddened by what she saw there, and didn't, really have the skills, obviously, to deal with this all on her own. Just a person in her 20s who hasn't dealt with things like this before. So I told her, this dog right here, there's one dog, your whole entire job while you're here for these next few days, while we wait to come and rescue these dogs, is to get this guy to a vet. This is a husky that was on the property, and it's probably difficult to see, but I could see it from this picture very easily. This dog is skin and bones, and this dog is about to die. He can't get up. He's very, 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 very weak. He turns out he was 37 pounds, a husky, covered in fleas and ticks, just being eaten alive by parasites. So I was able to find, we were on rescue, and I was able to find a vet somewhat nearby, about 30 minutes away, and did have to kind of talk the granddaughter through how to get the dog in the car. She was very afraid to hurt him because he was so incredibly fragile. We got through all that. We got him to a vet. Obviously, we took care of that bill. They also didn't have any money to take care of these dogs, which is fine by us. We're here to help. This guy needed care immediately. So the vet called me right away. First off, he's heartworm positive. Second off, he's absolutely 100% covered in fleas and ticks that are eating his life away. He has giardia. He's got blood coming out of everywhere. He's an extremely sick dog. The most marked thing on there was that his calcium was extremely high. Mind you, I'm working with a vet and way far away in Arkansas. We don't know each other. This woman was absolutely amazing. She went home that night. Big shout out, by the way, North Arkansas Veterinary Hospital. Thank you so, so much for seeing this guy and taking care of him. And in the end, of course, unfortunately, we were not able to save him. He was suffering way beyond what was fair to say. We're going to keep this dog alive and try to be, the heroes. Obviously, yeah, we always want to do that. But sometimes whatever has happened to them precludes us from being able to help them to save their life. He also had a really, really high calcium, and that vet went home and studied every single reason why, other than the obvious things, the calcium was high, and determined he probably was full of cancer on top of everything else, a 5-year-old dog. So unfortunately, we were not able to save him. And there was also one Eskimo dog, the granddaughter came out the day after she got there, who had also passed away in her pen. And the male in the pen was just circling her and growling at the granddaughter. So it took her, she had to watch that for 2 days before help got there, before they could even get the dead dog out of the pen. So people deal with a lot of really, really hard things. Here's another one. This was just one where you can see in this very rote confine, she's hiding in the back corner back here. She didn't feel well either. Fortunately, we were able to get her back on her feet. She's doing well right now. She's at our place in Dogsville. So of the original 9 dogs, we lost 2. One Eskimo that died on her own, unfortunately, in that pen, and one husky that we had to let go. And the other 7, 3 of the Eskimos went to our friends at Animal Rescue Corps. Love you guys. Thank you so much for all of it. And the other 4 are in Dogsville, waiting for us to pick them up next week. And they're all going to be rehab dogs here. They're going to take some time because they've lived like this. This is one, too, that was just very, very fearful in his little hut. The straw, the granddaughter went and bought all that straw and put it in the pens with him. Otherwise, they were just in dirt. So that was very nice of her to do that. This guy was extremely fearful. He's at our place in Missouri right now, but he was also extremely sick. So as soon as they took him at our place in Missouri, he was like a limp dish rag. And Beth knew, and our staff out there knew, he's got to see a vet right now. And he did. And he had an extremely high white count, indicating a massive infection. They gave him a lot of meds and fluids and antibiotics and injectables and said basically good luck. He was really, really sick. She brought him home. They tended to him for 2 nights. Today he's on his feet, thank goodness. He's eating and he's on his feet. But now he's showing them, guess what? I really appreciate that you guys saved my life, and right now I'm really scared again. So he's snapping at them, and so he's going to be a rehab dog, which we understand. Look what he had to live through. The fear of this, yeah. So he'll be a rehab dog. He'll be here for some period of time, could be anywhere from months to even over a year, to learn how to be a dog, how to be unafraid, how to live like a regular pet. And that's what we do here. We teach these guys how to become dogs after they've lived through something like that. And it works. It really actually works. Our teams here are absolutely amazing at this. To watch dogs that have been through so much hell at the hands of people learn how to forgive, forget, and move on, and be resilient, and show us every which way they are everything we believe that they are, which is strong, resilient, wonderful, wonderful creatures. So now here's a little bit of the rescue part. This is Michael from Animal Rescue Corps in Tennessee. Love these guys so much. And that's him capturing one of the not-so-fearful ones. So you see he's got the long line on it. And really what they do, they don't just go in there and manhandle these dogs. They could. 2 guys, strong, with the right gloves and everything, you could. They just take their time. They go slow. Because when you go slow on this part, you don't have that immediate increased fear of who are these people. When you go slow and just take your time, and these guys do it better than anyone, then you get out and you're not getting bitten, and the dogs are now here. And now this one had an interesting story. This is Tim from ARC, who is currently up for CNN Hero of the Year because he deserves it. They all do. This was a gentle dog. This was one they hadn't told me about. This one lived on the porch. This Eskimo, was the owner who passed away. This was his favorite dog. And she just loved him and lived on a couch, like a little couch on this back porch. So Tim could walk right up to her, pet her on the head, and just pick her up and bring her out to the truck. So anyway, this is an active case right now that's going on. Required a lot of help from partners and others. And we'll be rehabbing these dogs for probably upwards of a year. The reason we're bringing this story, it's not one of our most happy stories, right? 2 of these dogs unfortunately died. But it's the reality of what we do. We do this work every single day. It is not easy. It takes a lot to make this happen. You know, these happy stories, when we see every Friday the posts of everybody that went home all week, I mean, it just brightens our world so much. I mean, that's the end result of all of this work, is the day they go home. But everything it takes to get them from the moment we rescue them from situations like that, through vetting and rehabilitation care and all that, what it takes to get them out the door with that family, in many cases, is a lot. And of course, what does that boil down to? It boils down to money. It takes a lot to do this mission. This is not, we travel really far to go get these dogs. We do all of our own transport. When they come here, you know, they come with every kind of problem under the sun. Broken jaws, mammary tumors, big-time hernias. Everybody needs to be spayed and neutered, obviously. Coming out of breeding situations, that hadn't been done. So it's just a lot to make this mission work and tick and keep going every single day for these guys. For me to be able to say yes to every single time we get a call like this. These are little one-offs. These are not people I'm normally dealing with. But when we have partners like ARC and all the others, we can say yes to a lot of things. We can say yes to a lot of saving of lives. We really can, and we do it all the time. And I'm sure if you follow us routinely, you probably have seen we even had to start our roadside rescue program at our facility in Missouri, simply because these are just other dogs that are in dire, dire need, dumped on the side of the road, covered in fleas and ticks, dumped as little baby, litters of babies. Just tons of that we see out there all the time. We fix and care for those dogs as well. So we started our roadside rescue program because of that. We care deeply about all dogs, right? Our mission is about the puppy mill dogs, the breeding dogs, but we're never going to say no to dogs in need. We have a lot of partners who can help us with that, both on the care end and on the rescue side, and that's why we never have to say no. So that, and all of you who support us, that is what keeps this mission alive and well. There is no other thing. It's you guys, your financial support, your encouragement, every which way that you support us, which is a lot of different ways. all makes a huge difference. So here on Giving Tuesday, let me just say, today's a great day to give. These are just a few dogs we're dealing with today. There's 100 and some more there and more dogs in Dogsville, and always hundreds waiting right in front of me to be rescued. That list never, as soon as we go on a big run, here I go again with that list just blowing up again. So how do we keep on top of that? You guys helping us. We really, really appreciate you. Be as generous as you can today. It makes a big, big difference for all these dogs. So thank you so much.
What are we dealing with here on site currently?
Oh, and here on site, one of the reasons we're all tucked into a back room and not showing you a bunch of dogs. So currently we have kennel cough here. That's a common thing. It's basically a cold for dogs, and it's actually even a mild version. Most of them are getting over it in like 2 or 3 days. But we try really, really hard to confine this and get rid of it. In traditional shelters where animals are coming and going every day and they're from the street and all over, it's a lot harder to be able to just say, all right, we're going to slow everything down and get rid of this. But that's what we can do, and we do. And during that time, a lot of these guys are on medication and whatever, so obviously it's always even more when we have any kind of sickness here. Fortunately, we don't see it that often. Commercial breeding dogs, in all honesty, they live all in a big open environment with each other. So whatever sicknesses might be in that environment, they probably had it when they were young and they're immune to it now. So they just don't bring us a lot of airborne type of sicknesses. I mean, worms, of course, they all have that, and those are contagious. But airborne stuff that's really scary in traditional shelters, we don't see here very often. So we're very careful when we do. Everybody goes into like, and elsewhere people might not think it's a big deal, and it's not horrible, but we also would like to just be rid of it. So extra cleaning, extra medications, extra everything right now while we're trying to eradicate kennel cough. So, and that's why we're all hiding and there's no doggy in my lap, because we just don't want to move them around while we're dealing with that. So, and I think I just heard from the vet team, we're kind of on the tailing end of it, so I'm very happy to hear that.
I was going to say, why don't you talk a little bit more about like what kinds of things we do in the vet clinic here and what we're able to do, and then also about the vet clinic that we're doing in Missouri.
Sure. Okay. So one of our film folks here asked me to talk a little more about what we do in our vet clinic here and what we're going to be doing in our vet clinic in Missouri. So here, obviously, we provide care to all the dogs on site every day. That's usually somewhere between 100 and 150 dogs between our kennel here and our foster homes. So the initial thing before they even go home or even into a foster, everybody is spayed and neutered. They have full exams, anything that has to be dealt with. If they have a hernia, that's repaired. If they have a memory tumor, that's excised, all of those extra things. The big one is the dental work that goes on here. The dental work that goes on here, I could not frankly be more proud of how incredibly amazing our veterinary team is at this work, which is not easy. It's very hard. A lot of them wind up wearing these hand braces from all that hard, work with the wrists and hands. But anyway, and they'll provide, and we have an orthopedic vet who will come out here and do orthopedic surgeries on our dogs. We've done heart ligations in there. I mean, we do amazing work in our vet clinic, which is an amazing place. Has all the equipment and everything we need to do all that. At our place in Missouri, at Dogsville, our place in Humansville, Missouri, we just now are just getting ready to open. All the supplies are going there right now. A spay and neuter clinic, not just for our own dogs out there, but also for community dogs, because we're trying to meet that very serious problem they have out there of just overpopulation, because there is no access, there is little money, people just don't get this done. And what winds up happening with those dogs, they have litter after litter every 6 months, they're pregnant, and when those puppies get to be 3 to 4 months old and they get a little more wandery, they go in the road and they're hit and killed. And we see this all the time. And some of them aren't exactly killed, right? We've had those scenarios too, where we got to step in because somebody's hit and split wide open on the highway and is still alive. We get these calls all the time and we respond to them. Even though it's outside the scope of our immediate mission, we don't want to think about that suffering. So we help these dogs all the time. So anyway, in our clinic out there, we cannot wait to offer spay and neuter to the community and beyond. We've already done 60-some dogs of the community. Not in our clinic, just at the clinics we're using right now for our own vet care out there until our clinic's open. So we have a list of over 100 dogs and a handful of cats, I think about a dozen cats, that are ready to hop right on that schedule as soon as we open. We should be open by mid-December, but it being December, it could push to right after New Year. But everything is there. We're all ready to rock and roll and start bringing spay and neuter to the rural part of this country that desperately needs it. So, and the people are very open to it. They just haven't had this opportunity before. So,
At our cost.
yes, and that spay and neuter, by the way, is our cost. In the very rural parts of this whole country, and certainly the rural parts of Missouri, where the access is low to veterinary care, the finances are low there too. These are very, very rural parts of the country, and that's just the way it is. So in order to really meet this problem where it's at, we fix the dogs. That's it. It's our expense. Because they're going to be our expense later on when their puppies are hit by cars or they're dumped over here or whatever, and everybody's sick then. We just want to prevent all that suffering from happening to begin with. So we have a big spay and neuter fund out there for that purpose, and we're very, very grateful to get that rolling. So anyway, any questions? Anybody have any? Some of my gals have been asking me.
Do you have any questions?
Audience, anybody have any questions on any of these platforms? Or
People are asking if the people are going to be prosecuted for the Eskimos.
yeah, so people ask this a lot. Are the people going to be prosecuted? And, the truth is the person who would have been prosecuted has passed away. That's why all this happened. And his family reached out for help. So what do we do with that? We help. That's it. The man who kept the dogs that way is dead, and we helped his family, and that's just how we do this mission. We are here to help. We want to help the animals. However they got to be where they are, and whoever put them in that position, they got to live with that. We're here to help. And so, and this man had a really lovely family. I mean, they immediately reached out for help every which way they could and every place they could, because they could see this was not good for the dogs. And also sometimes the older generation, dogs just lived outside, and it probably didn't think much horrible thing about that, even though they weren't in great shape. So, we're just here to help, and that's what we do. No matter the situation, we try to leave our judgment out. That doesn't mean we don't walk off properties and scream and yell or scream and cry. It happens all the time. But in order to really be able to help the animals, you have to be respectful of their people. And so that's just the way it works. So hopefully everybody can understand that, no matter how upset we are, and we get upset about a lot of things, but at the end of the day, we just suck it up and help. So, and in this case, the family was absolutely lovely. They wanted to help these animals really badly, so we were happy to help them. And so were our friends from ARC.
People are asking if we're going to update on their rehab. Oh, when will they get here?
Yeah, so we'll be going out on Saturday, picking up about 50 dogs, and they'll be transported to our friends at North Shore Animal League. Hey, you guys, on Tuesday the 9th. But we will come back with these Eskimos on the 8th. So I think that's Monday next. Yeah, so we'll be back next Monday with them on the 8th. We'll probably be carrying their crates in because, again, we're not interested in terrifying them. And we will absolutely be updating everyone on their rehab as we go. They'll probably, a couple of them are going to be here for a while, for sure. I think a couple others sound like they may turn around fairly quickly. And all I ever say, all of us ever say, is just how much these particular dogs show us how resilient dogs are. It's not just, they're so this and that, they're so sweet. They're resilient, they're tough, their bodies and their minds are tougher than... I say it all the time. If I've learned one thing more than anything else in these 18, almost 19 years of doing this work, it's really, truly how tough dogs are, even the ones that are this big. They are mentally and physically tough, and they heal, and they rebound, and yes, we're here to help them do that. And there are certain breeds, and Eskimos are one of them, where just really high sensitivity. They're just a really sensitive breed. The type of dog, if you yell at that dog, it's probably going to be heartbroken for a week. They're just a very sensitive breed. We've learned over these years that those types of dogs, to include Italian Greyhounds, one of our founding dog, very sensitive dogs. Dogs that you just, they take a long time to get past that life. There's other breeds that are just much tougher in the head or tougher in the body, or more just, do-de-do, everything's good, who don't take this long. But these guys, when they're damaged, we've had some, I think back 15 years, Pirate and Xena. These were 2 American Eskimos. Oh man, I thought for sure they're never going to get a home. There's no possible way we can fix these 2 dogs. It took 1.5 years, but they both went home and lived really long lives. In fact, Pirate only died like about 2 years ago, and he was probably 17 when he died. So breeds can be very different how this life affects them. And I expect that these Eskimos are going to take some work. So we'll definitely be keeping you guys up to date on them and their progress, and I'm sure we'll be doing videos about, and they're all really in horrible coat shape right now, and they're going to look awful. Our staff out in Missouri wants to bathe them so badly, but we just don't want anybody getting bitten, and they've been like this for a long time. They've been dewormed, they've already gotten some vet care and all that. We'll get the baths done when they're here. So they're going to look pretty horrible and ratty. One of them is missing most of her hair. But anyway, they deserve this, and we couldn't be happier that they're in our care now. So, and this is just one story. We have stories all the time. I get emails and every other day of the week asking for help with enormous problems. And because our network is growing and bigger, the people that we work with, the people who take all these extra dogs, we've been rescuing 3,000 dogs a year. We're going to get very close to that number again this year. That's insane for us. That's not normal. For all the years, we basically, for the first 15 years, we did 1,000, 1,200 dogs a year. The last 2.5 years, it's just 3,000 dogs a year. So our partnerships come into play big time here, because if we didn't have those partnerships, our capacity didn't triple overnight when all this implosion and all these extra dogs started coming our way. So we had to use partners. In fact, people will say, are you ever going to have an NMDR Northeast and Southwest and all? And I'm like, I don't even think, it's hard enough just keeping these 2 places going. But the truth is, the way I see it, we already have that. Those are our partners. When we send these dogs on airplanes, you've probably seen those with the Bissell Pet Foundation's help. These partners are what allowed us to say yes to all these extra dogs. These dogs would have had no place to go, and they all would have died. That's about 2,000 a year for the last 3 years. They would have had no place to go. So our partnerships, our facility in Missouri, all these things are what allows us to make these big, big efforts to help. And so, help us out today. Help us keep helping the dogs. It's in our heart. This is who we all are. The people on the other side of these cameras are all just like me. They got these big grins and also tears all the time. We consider you a part of this family. We can't do this work without our supporters. Thank you. Thank you so much.